Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rest is Lean podcast. I'm Alan Lothian. I'm with my fine colleagues, John D.
How do?
and Russell Watkins.
All right.
And we're here just to share some pearls of wisdom on all things lean manufacturing and operational excellence. The topic for today is actually a continuation from our previous episode on sustaining and sustainability, not as John has mentioned previously around on the green type, but how to make projects, particularly lean transformation projects, stick in the workplace. Guys, where did we leave off from last time?
John had given us a stack of great ideas about how to make your transformation visible, both in terms of visualization, visual management, and physically being there and getting involved in cadence of activity and getting the message through. Um, I just wanted to add one to that I didn't manage to get under the wire last time, and that was um, the magic of fixed point photography. So
Ooh.
if you stand at a point in your factory where you have a nice line of sight, take a photo once a week and start to pin those photos on a board in sequence, because you often, when the days are bad and it's raining on the shop floor, which is almost every day, it's nice to be able to refer back to the photograph because you can see where you came from, because you forget where you came from.
You think of how many businesses, I mean, it's more historic than it is improvement, who would have loved to have had a shot of their factory in 1950s, an external and an internal, so they can contrast it with now, because people would be fascinated by the original. Well, you just wind that forward to more of a smaller time frame so that people can see the evolution of your lean, your layout, your condition in the factory.
The befores and afters.
And the critical thing is the fixed point photography, which means stand in exactly the same spot.
Place.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think have you ever had circumstances in your experience where, because I certainly have, and you forget that keynote in the sense of we're highlighting opportunities to improve, but we forget how far that business may have already come. Because when we go in from a consultant perspective, we're coming in at a single point in time. Yeah. And it's important to know at that stage how far they believe they've come, whether we believe that's right, wrong, or indifferent. It's to appreciate that they have actually been on a journey already. Does that make sense?
And bear in mind, they've also been trying to improve the business while they're running it.
Yes.
We don't have that pain. We can just go in and throw stones at greenhouses. It keeps us, we mentioned it in an episode way back, it keeps us humble to know that they may be there and we may think, and I'm indicating a midway point in my hand, and we may be able to see a path where they can get to there, a higher point. But if in the last 6 months they've come right up to this, what we perceive as a crappy point, and we don't celebrate that, and we just point out the bad, then we're essentially throwing a blanket over the flame of their improvement effort.
And if you go in there and go, oh, I see what you've got. Well, of course, that's not good enough, and you need this and you need that. And you don't know, as Russell said, they've just climbed to the top of their ladder almost, and they're just wondering if they could buy another rung. And you've gone, oh yeah, so much opportunity. This is base level.
Absolutely. Well, Russell,
that can depress them.
The point that Russell made about if they've been from a certain point and risen in the past 6 months. So I talk about with the business argument about the velocity of change that they're being subjected to. So it's getting a handle on the velocity that they can cope with. And also where, for whatever reason, when you talk about the Hoshin and where they've got to be to get themselves closer to their vision within the organization, is can they actually cope with the velocity that they want to go to next?
The velocity point is extremely well made, Al. All of this takes us back to humility and the fact that there is a fundamental flaw in the way that lean people are trained and TPS is trained, and lean thinking, and that's that. We are trained in a deficit way. What do we see as a gap to what do we see as the gap or what's missing? We're not trained in an asset-based way. So, and I might have told the story before about my very first activity with Mixan, but down in in Edinburgh it was, where I was walking the shop with him, and through the interpreter he asked me, "What do you see?" And of course my heart sunk, and I said, "Well, I see some rubbish over there. I see parts not in a defect bin over there, and I see the gangway's a bit blocked." And then he said, "What else do you see?" And, oh Christ! And I was struggling. Okay, well I see this, that, and the other. Okay, what else do you see? And now I'm thinking, this is my first activity. What do you expect me to see? And so I scuffed up a couple of really weak, yes, I see this, this, and this as well. And then he said, "Do you see nothing good?" And that stuck with me. Very lesson one. Lesson one is wherever you go, don't just filter for the bad, filter for the good, because it takes us to where we've just been talking about. You appreciate they're on a journey and you will make more progress with them in a human way. Secondly, you'll learn more because you are setting yourself up to find things to learn from and appreciate. Your patterns of the patterns you form will mean that your skills will keep increasing.
This brings us to a topic again for another day about good versus bad external support if you're going on a lean journey. I think I've brushed up against too many, we'll call them lean consultants, who are just interested in you working to their check sheet. You know, to be good, you must tick, tick, tick. The only place that exists with any validity in my head is if that person is helping you towards ITAR or ISO, blah, 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 because that literally is a tick list that you've got to achieve. But if it's how do we make our company better, it should start with, well, how do you want to be better? In what measurable way do you want to be better? And then looking at what they do and what's good, what's got opportunities to improve, and having no sheep dip, having no list of things that good companies do, just what would help this group move to where they want to be. If they have problems deciding where they want to be, we can help with that as well. But that's part of the question. Well, what are you trying to do? I think it's really, really important. And right back to the point that you guys were making, if all you're doing, and Mick Sam was laser-like at his critique there, do you not see anything good, Russell? It's like social commentary on you. Oh, you sad man.
as he mutters under his breath.
Yeah, and that was
very bad engineer.
Undoubtedly about the pressure to perform for you in front of one of the leading lights in your chosen field. You know that. Oh, I've got to find the bear trap that he's just spotted. Keeps asking me. Therefore, there's an even bigger fire that I've not yet spotted. And yet the reality of any of us three, knowing as I do, walking into a new business for the first time is, sweetie shop, this is how you make brake pads. Who'd have thought? That's amazing. Cool. And then it's almost like, oh, I've got to give these guys some opportunities. You do see the great. It's just context, but in that particular case, led you to fall into his elephant trap and have a great lesson.
It's a superb lesson.
Yeah. Anyway, we've kind of looped around the end of last episode there. Russell, did you have a statement or question to pose that's about sustainability, making it stick, not the green type?
I do. And I liked your visibility point, John. Visibility equipment. Mine is about keeping it simple, simplifying stuff. I'm 54 now, and too late. I reckon only in the last 5 to 10 years have I started to simplify and take things down to a more basic level. And when I say keep it simple, I mean keep the approach simple. Don't try and do everything at once. I mean particularly keep the language simple. Can I give you an example that I saw on LinkedIn this week? I'm not going to name the person, and they'll never know who they are. But they were in the lean field, and they put out a post, and it said, so often leaders lose impact when they unwittingly get lost in self-perpetuated dysfunction that's invariably caused by insufficient systemic awareness.
A shut off after word 4.
I don't know what that means. I think it means they have problems because they don't know what the rest of the people are doing.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Systemic
I can't spell half
awareness
of them.
for urinary problem.
And so that we can talk anything about simple, keeping your approach simple, keeping your thinking simple, but if I just hone in on language for a second, I'm trying harder and harder to say a bit less and to explain things more and more simply. And it's not because the people that I'm working with aren't grasping it, it's because everybody has a busy brain, particularly in this world. And if we're gonna get somebody interested, it ain't gonna be with dysfunction that is invariably caused by insufficient systemic awareness.
Yeah.
So,
No.
and it takes me back to another Mixan when I was sat in the back of when I was driving him around from company to company, when he shouts to the back seat, Russell Sam, how to explain waste to a 7-year-old.
Yeah, I used to say 7-year-old. If you can't explain to a 7-year-old, you're not explaining it properly.
So my question is, do you keep it simple? How do you keep it simple?
It's very good. It brings me to one of my favorite sayings is that hard writing makes for easy reading.
Oh.
So spending an inordinate amount of time, in my case, because genuinely dyslexic, thinking about my written messaging and rewriting it and re-engineering it and inserting NLP because I love the subject, such that it has maximum impact, sticking power, and understandability with those it reaches. There's also things like fog index,
Yes,
which is crikey, I can't remember, but fog is the last letter is gobbledygook. It's function of gobbledygook or factor of gobbledygook. I can't remember.
it's syllable related, isn't it? Words
Yeah.
with a certain number of syllables for a certain grade of reading.
That's it. It's an algorithm. You can feed any sentence. Just Google it for some fun, folks. After we've finished, after the podcast, just after you've pressed subscribe, just go fog index calculator online. You'll find half a dozen.
Yeah.
And all you do, copy a piece of text that you've written and paste it into one of these calculators that you can bring up online. And they'll give you a number. And you're trying to get the fog index low, as in understandable, imparts knowledge quickly and easily. But there's some sub levels of intrigue amongst it, in that I think Russell just alluded to it. You can write something such that it will be understandable for a primary school child. Now, 7-year-old gets to the point, paints a picture. Brilliant. However, it's not always the best to deliver that to the person you've just met who's the Mekon and has got the world and the planets and black holes flying around in their heads, in that they'll understand exactly what you're saying and brush it to one side because it's not engaging enough for them. It doesn't tickle their brain enough. So you might want to raise the fog index to a level that targets university graduate or captain of industry, etc., etc. So you can target it at audiences, but generally you can look at text and see how convoluted it is, and it gives it a number. Very, very interesting. A little side issue.
Fog index.
Fog.
That's something new today, John.
And I think it's related to ego in that everybody, subconsciously, we are trying to feel valuable and project value in businesses, whether you're working there or a consultant. How do you do that? You do that by appearing to be smart. What's our default for appearing to be smart is to be able to talk articulately and not do. It's a problem there as well. It's funny, you know, I think there's an Einstein phrase, which is things should be reduced to as simple as they can, but no simpler.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's another one, complexity is a crude state. And I believe both of those things. And so I think I would encourage people to review their training materials on 5S or 7 waste to be able to record themselves talking and explaining something and look back and say, am I talking in a way that satisfies me, or am I thinking about the people who need to pick this up and need
know
to
your
grasp
audience?
it?
Absolutely know your audience. And it's quite interesting, Russ and John, because you said about how I think Russell mentioned it earlier on, examples of how we make it simple. And I think the one that stuck in my mind was what the article that we've just done recently for the Subcon magazine.
Yeah.
And some of you that were at the Subcon show will probably have heard us mention this. And when we talk about lean, what's it all about? And I always use the phrase, it's about getting the right thing safely from A to B as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
The right thing. Yeah. And think of it as a game. All right. Try and get some enjoyment from it. It's a challenge, like a game is. It's a challenge. And it's doing what you can to achieve that end goal. I thought Mixam was brilliant at doing that. He spoke very little, didn't he, in our activities?
Yeah.
He talked more to us, but when he's with the shop floor guys, he spoke
very little. He just used to show and point and help.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember speaking quite a lot during the 2-hour savaging I got every night through the interpreter.
You and me both.
John, what have you been and picked up?
Well, on the subject of simplify, on the subject of good communication, fog index, all that sort of stuff, I have two scenarios, if you like, that I will sometimes use with people I'm coaching or mentoring to be in a similar role to me, to emphasize this idea of you've got to take a topic, and it might be 5S just as a throwaway. You've got to really be able to articulate it very simply, very quickly, very easily, show the benefits, get people excited quick. And it's actually hard to tell somebody how to do that. So I got two scenarios that I try out on people. One of them is why I went and fetch a prop. I'm an engineer at heart, so recognize that?
Ooh, look at that.
That's a Stirling engine.
It's beautiful. Did you make it?
No, I didn't. I bought it. However, I have got Stirling engines I've made. They're a lot rougher than this.
That's beautiful, John. Nicely crafted.
So if you just a Stirling engine, see there's something going up and down there?
Yeah.
At the bottom, and there's another piston going up and down there.
Yeah.
This looks to the untrained eye like a perpetual motion engine, because if you sit it on anything that's even slightly warmer than ambient for long enough, which could be my hand, to be fair, and then spin the flywheel, it will go on for hours.
Oh, will it?
It'll literally go until this matches the temperature of that. And it doesn't matter if it's heat or it's cold. All that matters is the difference in temperature between that and that. Now, it's only got a few parts, and you can look up online how it works. The Stirling engine, it's old as the hills, 1800s.
Yeah.
Work of genius. However, ask somebody to prepare a no more than 1 minute long presentation for school children on how that works is a challenge, because it's so counterintuitive. It's off the scale. It's beautiful.
Have you tried ChatGPT and tested it out?
It'll do a rubbish job of it. It'll do a rubbish job of it. So that's one, and it really gets people into, okay, this engineering concept. First, you have to understand it and understand it well.
Yes.
And when you've got it and go, oh, crikey, that's clever. And the engineer, oh, I see. And that, you have the moment yourself, but it probably takes you an hour, if I'm honest. Then how do you allow others to see the same via a different route, far easier, and they can look into the engineering later, but they're engaged, they get it, they understand, and they can go and tell somebody else, have you seen Stirling engines?
Yeah.
So that kind of requires a prop, to be honest. So that's that one. But the other one, which again you may have heard of, the Monty Hall paradox.
The Monkey Hall paradox.
Isn't he the bloke does all the gardening on BBC Two?
That's Monty Don
with his massive hands. It's a paradox.
Shovels.
How can his hands be so big?
Monty Hall. So this is a piece of mathematics,
right?
And Monty Hall was a game show host, and it was American, so not everybody in the UK will know it. But it's a very, very simple game show. It's 3 doors.
Okay.
There are 3 doors.
Yes.
Behind the doors are 2 goats, one behind each of 2 doors. Yeah. And one of the doors has got a car behind it.
Okay.
And the show went every week. So our contestant is Russell. Russell, pick a door, A, B, or C.
Do you get to pick only one door?
Yep.
Okay.
Pick a door, A, B, or C. You can't see behind them, so...
Okay, I'm going A.
Okay. What's the chances you're right, Russell?
Well...
He doesn't ask this on the quiz. I'm just asking you.
Yeah. This is, you'd think it was 1 in 3, but...
Correct.
But there is some maths around this.
Yes.
Is it 1 in 2?
If you answer the next bit correctly, it changes in your favour to 2 in 3. Doesn't sound likely. So how the quiz goes is you pick a door and he hangs you a little sign on it. So that's the door you picked.
Door A. It's great to be here, John. Door A, but I'll let somebody else have a go.
Yeah. So you've picked.
Doesn't it depend if you want to win the car or win a goat?
Yes.
It does.
That's the customer what they want first, John.
Thing for the contestants, but would take Alan out of the equation.
I want to win 2 goats.
And then Monty Hall would go behind the doors, come out the other side with a knowing look on his face, so he knows what's where, right?
Yeah.
And then he would open one of the doors.
Ah, okay.
Revealing a goat.
Right.
Okay. And then he says, right,
Alan, you're a winner.
You've chosen door A.
And I'm going,
I've opened door C. It's got a goat behind it.
Yeah.
You have to choose whether to stick with your door and we're going to open it and you'll get what's behind that, or you can change to door B. And that's the quiz every week. And then they spend 5 minutes talking about it. And then they'll make their decision. Do you want to stick with what you got or do you want to swap? And this is the clever bit. And this is what I ask people to go look at the Monty Hall paradox.
Okay. Because is the
but you've got to explain it.
Change the
you've
mind.
Got to it's different. So if you stick with this is the fact.
Yeah.
If you stay with the door that you chose in the first place,
yeah,
your chances of getting a car are now 50-50 because you got past the first one.
Yeah.
If you swap to the other door, your chances are 67% in your favour.
If you change your mind.
If you change your mind, you are more likely to win. That is an absolute fact. So, what you need to do is go away now. Think about that, students. And I want you to come back and give me your 1 minute explanation of how on earth is it that it is scientifically 100%, it's not in doubt, you are more likely to win by changing your mind.
All right. Yeah.
In the Monty Hall show. Go on.
The best entry we get, Alan is going to put up £150 worth of Harvester
I knew that
vouchers.
was coming. I absolutely knew that was coming.
Also, I've probably poisoned your minds now, guys, because that's such an intriguing scenario, even if you've seen it before.
I'm absolutely.
Because you would say, well, it's
blown
2 doors left.
I just I don't quite know where to go next with this.
I know.
So but all I'm going to say, John, I'm going to say, because I've got eyeballs bearing down on me, is I think we've got to jump to a commercial. Oh no, we haven't. It's Russell's Japanese word of the week.
So first off, can anybody?
Sponsored by Monty Hall.
I did see it.
Anybody who can explain that in 60 seconds, please do.
Yeah.
So Japanese word of the week is a three-phase word, and it's jikute kanketsu.
Pardon?
Jikute
Is that a word or a
kanketsu.
sentence?
Now, let me explain it, and then I'll spell it. You know those Japanese word jidoka?
Yeah.
Which is one of the TPS pillars. Jidoka is generally translated as built-in quality. Automation with a human touch, automation, the ability for processes to be stopped and therefore to avoid making defects. Jikute kanketsu goes beyond that and says, the problem with just thinking about built-in quality is that if you ask anybody in a business that is a bit enlightened about lean, whose job is quality, they'll say everybody's job is quality. And that's okay. The problem is things fall between the gaps. Because if you're looking, for example, to launch a new product, from drawing all the way through your APQP up to launching that product, there's a shed load of things need to happen. And so JKK, Jikute Kanketsu, translates as self-process completion. It means built-in quality with ownership. If you ask me in a JKK business what my ownership of quality is, I will be able to tell you, well, I've got to make sure X happens, Y happens, and Z happens. So it is clarity of ownership of my part of quality to make sure that we deliver it all the way through, rather than we all own quality. And look, there's a fancy poster here that says so.
When you walk through the gates of a big organization, quality starts here.
Quality starts here,
yeah.
And it's spelt Jikoutei. That's Jikute. Kanketsu, Kan, and then Ketsu, Ketsu. JKK shortened as.
Good man.
Excellent.
Thank you for that, young Russell.
That was very interesting. That is actually not a phrase I've come across.
It isn't.
And, do you want the email address now, Al?
I was going to say on that note, guys, I think before I frazzle my brain any further on this Monty Hall post, I mean, I'm completely, honestly, I just wanted the goat. I've already got a car. So it all blew out completely out the window. But listen,
it's in your interest to solve it, Al, because then you can just hand yourself 150 quid's worth of Harvester Vouchers.
Harvester Vouchers. I haven't spent the others yet. So, listen, guys, fascinating stuff. Well, I'm going to call it quits for today. Just before we do go, for those of you that have been listening and made it through to the bitter end, well done.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you want to leave your comments below, feel free, or email us. And the email address is, Russell?
I know this. www. No, it's not. It's why am I still listening to this dross at gmail.com.
And if you don't get through that point, at that point, John?
You can email us at therestislean@gmail.com.
Fantastic stuff. And on that note, we bid you all a very, very good day. See you on the next episode. Cheers, guys.
See you, folks. Bye.